Hi, this is Aditya. In this lecture, we'll understand how internet will work. Okay, to understand that, let us let us take one simple example. Let us suppose we have a product, and that specific product has certain features. Okay, so we want to let everyone know about our product. So one way of letting them know is we can document all the product specification in a particular Word document, and we can share that Word document to various people and let them know on our product and what are our product specifications. That is one way of doing it. But the problem with this approach is there is a OS dependency. Like for example, the entire text whichever I have documented, that I could do it in a Word file, but that Word file may not open in the Linux systems. So I am not sure what operating system my customers are having, or in what devices they are seeing that particular, or in what devices they are trying to open that particular document, right? So there is always that problem. And if there is any additional software needed to see my content, they need to install it, which they may not know how to install it. And another problem could be like a version management, right? So let us suppose some of my project product features have changed. So how do I update it? Again, I need to send another Word file with a new updated version, right? So people will have hard time to know like what is the latest specification, right? And what is the latest document. So this is one of the approach in which I can share the content, and this has obviously certain drawbacks, right? So to solve those drawbacks, um, so how can we solve those drawbacks, right? So one way to solve it is by having all the content in a central place. Okay, just have all the content in one location, and then whenever our client wants to see the latest product specifications, they just want to ping this server and get the latest updated content. Okay, so that could be one approach, right? This is the simple client server architecture, and let us suppose so let us take an example of a simple LAN architecture, which is a local area network, and see how this is working. Let us suppose we'll give a URL like this to our client who is in our local area network, and we have all our product specifications as part of the index.html. So what we can say that ask them to do is use this URL, and you can always see the latest product features. So once they type this URL in their browsers, right, they just have to open the browser and then type this URL, and that's it, and they will see the latest product specifications. But how exactly this URL is working? So let us break down this URL, right? So the first part is the HTTP protocol. From since we are developers, we will understand it only from the developer's perspective. Like the HTTP protocol means we are just telling the browser that when I'm hitting the server, we are getting certain response, right? That response would be in the format of the HTML file. Okay, and you need to render it as a HTML file. That's what we are saying when we say HTTP. Okay, so then the second part is the IP address. Okay, so the IP address would be the IP address of this server. So once this IP address is given and the HTTP protocol is given, what it does is it will route the request to this server to get the response. Okay, so this browser will ping this server to get the response, and it knows that the response would be in the HTML format since we have given HTTP. Okay, so then once the request is routed to the server, it will hit the port 8080. So this is the software port. Okay, so there are certain hardware ports like audio port and USB port, right? But these are the software ports, which is a virtual port. Okay, so what happens is in this physical server, there is an application running, which is called as a web server. So that web server will be listening at this port, which is a virtual port at 8080. So once this request hits that port, then the web server will receive that request, and that request will be served to and the response will be served to the client which has made the request. Okay, so that's the port which we are sending. Okay, so then we have the HTML file. So once it hits the HTML, once it hits this port, right, that web server, in that web server there will be a configuration file which says that what is my root folder, okay, in which I have to search for the HTML files. So automatically once the request is hit, the it will go to that particular root folder and search for this HTML file, and it will just pass that HTML file as a response to the web browser which made the request initially. Okay, so then since it is a HTTP format, the response will be rendered as a HTML file and it will be displayed to the user. Okay, so this is one process, and the advantage of this process is the content is at a centralized location, and all that you need to have is a web browser which is platform independent. So web browser will work in any operating system because it is lightweight, right? And then the content is at a centralized location. So once I update the content here, everybody will see the updated content automatically. So I need not pass the content again to everyone, right? I just update the content in a central location, and automatically everyone can see. So this is a simple client server architecture. Okay, so now let's introduce how the internet is going to work. So before that, we will see how the website will get deployed. Okay, so there is a very simple difference between the LAN architecture and how the internet works, right? The difference is here we have used the direct IP address, but in the internet it is very hard to remember IP addresses, right? So let us suppose we want to check 10 websites. It is very hard to remember all the IP addresses of all the 10 websites, right? So that is why we use a meaningful name. Okay, so then that name will in turn gets resolved into an IP address. Okay, so we will understand how that resolution happens and how everything works. But before that, we'll have to put the content in a centralized location, right? As we did it in the LAN architecture, we have put the content in this server. So similarly, the website owner, what they do is they put the content in a centralized location, which is a web server. So this web server will be provided by the various hosting services like Firebase hosting or Amazon Web Services or any GoDaddy or any of the web hosting services, right? So what they do is they offer web server as a service, okay, hosting as a service. Okay, so we can use their servers, and we can upload our content into their servers. Okay, so why do we want to do that? Why cannot we have our content in our local and that content be served to every people? So we could install the web server in our laptop also, but the only thing is we need to have a fixed IP address, and we need to have a 24-hour internet connection. But our personal laptop, we keep them. We will not have it running 24 by 7, right? We will shut down it sometimes. So that is why we prefer uploading into these hosting services, wherein they have the fixed IP address, and they also have the 24 by 7 internet supply, and these servers are always running. So that whenever the client makes a request, he will get a response. He can expect a response. So that is why we will use those servers. So the first part is we need to upload that content into the hosting provider's web server. Okay, so then the second step is we need to take a domain name. Like for example, in this case, my website, I'm saying like any of my customer can uh, can log into my website by using this example.com. This is my URL. Okay, if they say http colon slash slash example.com slash index.html, then they will come to my site or this particular web server. So in order to indicate that, I need to register this example.com domain name with the domain name registrar. So the examples of the domain name registrar could be Google Domains, or it could be like any GoDaddy or HostGator or any of the domain registrar, any of the people who are providing the domain registrar service. Okay, so we will just register this name. Okay, that this is reserved to me, this name is reserved to me, and whenever this name is given by any of them, that name will be routed to this web server which has my HTML files. Okay, that's how we will register this name, by paying some price. Okay, so then what this domain name registrar will do is, he will register it with the authoritative DNS. Okay, how that entire architecture works, that we'll see here. Okay, so this is the entire flow. Okay, so now let us suppose we have this domain registered. Okay, this is our client. Okay, so we have our web server in somewhere in the North America, and our client is sitting in India trying to access our index.html file, right? So what does he type in the browser? He types the https.com slash slash sorry https colon slash slash example.com slash index.html. This is the IP address he's typing, right? So then how that particular request is getting routed to our web server? This would be very important to understand when it especially when it comes to debugging purposes, like for example, when we are typing this IP address, if the website is not opening, where exactly the problem is, right? In order to debug that, we need to understand the flow. So in this exercise, we are just going to see the theoretical part, and how to debug and everything we will see it later, but we'll just try to understand the flow here. Okay, so the first what happens is, first this request will get routed to the ISPs. So what are these ISPs? These ISPs are the internet service providers. For example, in India it could be like Jio or Airtel or any of the ATC Fiber, any of the internet service provider, right, who is providing the internet to the client. Okay, so that particular to that particular ISP, this URL will get routed to. That is the first call which is made. Then from there, what happens is, the request will get routed to the root level DNS. Okay, so this root level DNS, what information this has is, first we need to figure out the .com part, like what is our domain. It could be like .com or .org or .in, right? So imagine that a .com has one server, and .in has another server, and which is called as a .com server and .in server and .org server. The aim is, every domain, like example and example 1, example 2, whatever is coming under .com will be stored in one server. Okay, and any other names which are coming as part of .org will be stored in another server. Okay, so like that, these are the top level domain name servers. So all these names are divided as part of this domain name, which is .com or .org or .in. In that way, these servers are divided. So, so first step is to understand what is the .com server. In this example, in the URL, we have .com as a domain name, right? So the first step to know is which server has the information related to the .com websites, right? So this root level DNS will provide that information. So then it will get routed to the top level DNS, which has the information about all the .com servers. Okay, so then it will start searching for this example. Okay, this example name. Okay, so where exactly, so what is it searching for ultimately, right? It is searching for the IP address which relates to this example. Okay, so it will search in its records, and then it will get routed to the authoritative DNS. So this authoritative DNS has the actual uh, mapping. as to where exactly is my web server. So here in the top level DNS, it will just pass on this request to the it will have an information as to which authoritative DNS has the IP address mapping for this example.com. Okay, so now the request came to authoritative DNS, and from the authoritative DNS, this authoritative DNS has a mapping saying this particular example.com is mapped to this particular web server. Okay, now we got the exact IP address of this example.com. Okay, so that's how the request is getting routed to the web server, and the web server here again has a configuration on what is the root folder, and in that root folder it will search for the index.html, and then it will send the response back to the client. So this is how the request is being served. So here these top level domain name servers are owned by ICANN, which is a non-profit organization. So ICANN stands for Internet Corporation for Assigned Names and Numbers, and this authoritative DNS is the domain name register with whom we are registering our domain, right? It is like our HostGators or Google Domains or any of those providers which has the mapping to our web server. Okay, so after understanding this, we have one more layer which we need to understand, which is the content delivery network. Okay, so between these ISPs to domain or DNS, any of these DNS servers, right? There will be a layer called as content delivery network. So content delivery network is the example of these are like Cloudflare or Akamai, right? What does that mean is these people like Cloudflare or Akamai or Google Firebase, all these people have the servers located all across the world. Okay, so let us suppose the request is being made from India. So there is a server which is located in Mumbai or Bangalore or any of the nearest location. Okay, so the aim is like once this website is the once the website owner deploys the website onto the web server, right? He also will register this the website with any of these content delivery networks. Okay, so then what happens is all the static files, whatever we are doing, those will get automatically copied into the content delivery network. Okay, so all over the world, it is not just in one location. It will be copied over to the India, it will copy over to Saudi Arabia and all the different locations, right? Then whenever the request is being made by any of the client anywhere in the world, it will first hit the nearest content delivery network to just see if this website related content is already cached at the content delivery network. Okay, so if it is already cached, then the request will be served from the content delivery network itself without having to pass on through all these multiple network layers and reach to the web server, right? It will take time to route the calls through all these requests, right? So to simplify the process, there will be a content delivery network in between. So instead of having the content being served from this web server always, the content will be delivered from the nearest content delivery network server. So this saves us a lot of time. Okay, so this is the brief introduction on how the internet works, and thank you.